final confirmation out at 500. Alright guys, thanks for watching Precision Rifle Network today. So today I am going to be testing a tunable muzzle brake. The TMB is made by Strike Without Warning from a guy named BJ over in Australia. He sent this to me for test and evaluation, and unfortunately due to COVID and all those other things, I've been dragging my feet getting this review video out to you guys. Basically what I'm going to be doing today is I've got 3 different types of ammunition that I'm going to be putting through the rifle. I'm going to start with the tunable muzzle brake on the 0 setting, and then I'm going to move it by 2 hash mark lines until I get it shooting really well. Now, I would probably normally do this at 100 yards just so that I can really make sure that it's dialed in and shooting, you know, one hole groups, because that's the claim, is that you know, with these tuners you could really get those tiny groups. So I'm doing with factory ammo, 3 different types of factory ammo. One's a service grade, while 2 are match grade. And I'm doing it at 300 yards because my thought is I wanted you to visually be able to see it on paper. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get after it. All right, guys. First up is the Winchester long range service grade. Go ahead and get shots down there at 300 yards. See what we get without touching the brake yet. All right, we're gonna go down and see where that ended up. All right, guys, I'm driving down to the 300 yard line, and it just dawned on me that I should probably say I'm not shooting all 3 types of ammo right away, so 9 shots total. I'm actually shooting 3, running down range to check the target, and then going back and shooting 3 more. That way, in theory, I'm giving the barrel roughly the same amount of time to cool between each of the different types of ammo. For whatever reason, adds more validity to that, I guess, or consistency. Goodness. Well, hopefully that one stays right there. I don't even know, man. Should we even touch the tuner on that thing? I mean, that's that's sub 1 inch. That's probably 1 inch or 3/4 to 1 inch down here at 300 yards with that first ammo. Gosh, guys, I don't even know if we should mess with that. But also, I wanted to throw this out there. All the way down here was shot number 1. I forgot to adjust my drop data, and so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mark that one just so you know later on when I'm trying to put a group on that green circle that you know, it wasn't like a huge group and I'm just not counting it. So all right, guys, next up is the Burger. All right, let's run down and see how that one did. All right, here was the Burger group, and that right there is a prime example of why you usually do 5 shot groups or more. Because on this 3 shot group, that one that's off to the left, I did sort of break position back there, was dealing with a little bit of mirage. So in theory, this could have been a much smaller group to start with. We're gonna obviously put more groups down here, but just wanted to point that out. All right, guys, now we're going Hornady. Well, I'm glad I marked that initial shot that I showed you when I forgot to adjust my dope for the first time, because this group ended up being right over there around that first shot, so yay me. Well, you guys, I'm not sure what happened there. That kind of vertical stringing would suggest rear bag, but I felt really stable. I don't feel like I shanked any of those shots in any way. So I'm not sure. We're gonna obviously play with the tuner on the next groups and see if they tighten up, but that doesn't look very good. All right, guys, so as I was loosening and adjusting the tuner brake, the collar for the tuner part of the brake, I noticed the entire brake had come loose. And so we're gonna have to reshoot that Hornady group, because that could really explain why we got such a bad group down there at 300 yards. So I'm gonna reshoot that first with the brake tight, and we're gonna see what that group is. Then I'm gonna go back to the Winchester match grade and adjust the tuner and see what we get. Okay, Hornady group again after retightening the brake. Okay, guys, that makes a lot more sense. That's the group with the Hornady. We're calling that the initial group, and this big mess over here, we're gonna go ahead and throw that out because we found out that the brake itself was completely loose on those shots. So I tightened it, and then we fired that group. So I'm gonna get that marked off. We're gonna go back, and we're gonna go back up here with the Winchester and ruin that beautiful group. I'm sure that's probably all I ever need for that round. All right, guys, so after adjusting the tuner brake for the Winchester ammo, you can see the result here. And all I did was change that tuner by 2 little marks, and it sent our group way over here. Actually, I held 2/10 to the right, so it held over the 2/10. It actually adjusted it a little further than that even, but it also dropped it and spread the group out. We'll fire another group just to be sure after 2 more turns. But man, this seems like the proper setting for that ammo. All right, guys, so my thought process on this was, this Winchester with the tuner brake turned all the way to its, let's call it the lowest setting, turned all the way out. Shot that sub 1-inch group at 300 yards this morning. And then when I moved the tuner brake 2 notches the other direction, that group almost tripled in size. And so my thought process is, I'm not gonna keep turning it just trial and error when the group got bigger. I think it'd be better to turn it back down to the setting it was previously and see if it was just a fluke group. And if it gets smaller as I turn it back to where it was, then I'll know that that's probably the right setting right in there for this ammo, gun combo, and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to just wasting ammo going the other direction. So hopefully that makes sense. Well, that group was bigger again from the original setting that I had it on, so I'm not sure on that one, guys. I'll go ahead and put another group down there, turning that tuner brake the other direction 2 notches past where I had it. And we'll send another group, but I'm not sure, that's not making sense. I don't really have enough ammo to waste to try to figure this out today. So this will be an adjustment of 4 lines. Brake is still tight. I was all excited when I saw that sub 1-inch group first shots this morning. Now I'm all confused and not so sure that it's working. So here we go again. Tuner brake has been moved 4 lines now. All right, now let's go see. All right, you guys, well, that's pretty interesting. So I adjusted it back down to 0 where it was for that tiny group this morning. I adjusted it back to that, and I got these 3 right here, which is really strange. And then I went and adjusted it up 4 lines and dropped back in to a sub 1-inch group at 300 yards. This is going to be the burger, and I'm adjusting the brake up 2 marks from where the 0 line is. My wind picked up a little bit But guys, it's still only about a 3-mile-an-hour wind down there, so it really shouldn't have much effect. Alright, let's run down and check the Burger group. I might have said Hornady like 14 times incorrectly now. This is the Burger. After adjusting the brake, 2 notches up. Okay guys, there was the result of the Burger after adjusting the tuner brake 2 lines. I'm going to take it up to 4 next and see what we get. And this is the Burger again. This will be group number 3 with the Burger. Let's go check it. Okay guys, this is Burger group number 3. This was adjusting the brake to the 4th hash mark. So that's probably just barely over an inch down here. So that's pretty good. Definitely an improvement. Okay guys, this is going to be 2 hash marks on the Hornady ammo. Downrange again. All right, you guys, that was 2 hash marks on the Hornady. Here, here, and here. It definitely got worse. I'm still gonna put 4 hash marks on there and try it. And then if it gets worse or stays the same, I'm gonna go back to the 0 and try and see if it replicates that roughly 1-inch group here at 300 yards. All right guys, now 4 hash marks on the tuner with the Hornady ammo. All right guys, that group definitely got worse. We went here, here, and here. So that increased when we went to 4. So now I'm going back down to the 0 line. And we're going to put another group and hopefully get something close to what we had in the very first place. And finally, this is going to be the Hornady with the tuner turned back to 0. Okay guys, well, that one proved to work. This was our initial group, 1, 2, 3, with the tuner on the 0. I'll just zero it out. And then this group right here was 1, 2, 3, very similar group with the tuner back on 0. So that's definitely the setting. Final confirmation out at 500. Impact. 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 Stacking them. 500, all within a 1/10. I'll take it. All right, guys, so my results here were somewhat inconclusive on one end, and it definitely works, thumbs up on the other end. So I started out with the Winchester Service Grade. It's a 175 grain Botel Hollow Point Sierra Match King. And with the tuner brake all the way at 0, the 0 hash mark, that group down there was probably 3/4 of an inch at 300 yards. So that's basically one ragged hole at 300. That's pretty good in my opinion. I didn't want to mess with it, but I went ahead and tuned it on the brake. I went up to 2 hash marks up, and the group grew on me, and 4, and it grew, and back down to 0, and it shrunk to, you know, probably the best that I could do on that particular ammo after turning it back down to the 0 mark was about a 1-inch group, right around a 1-inch group at 300 yards, which is great. Like, I have no problem with that, right? So that's either just the baseline of the rifle with that factory ammo and this shooter, or that's entirely the break and it just happened to be tuned best at that 0 mark. Now, I don't have enough ammo to go up in hash marks, right? I could just keep turning and turning and turning on that tuner, trying to fine tune it and find, you know, this tiniest little group at 300 yards, but that's already pretty dang good with factory ammo and a service grade factory ammo to boot. So then I switched to the Berger, and that is a 175 grain OTM tactical from Berger. Again, factory ammo, but you know, it's Berger ammo, so it's really good. Usually great SDs and extreme spreads, though I didn't chronograph anything. Now on that one, I started at 0 and got a group. It wasn't horrible. It was probably half MOA down there at 300 yards. Not horrible, but I went ahead and tried to turn that one. I went up to 2 tenths. Gosh, I keep saying tenths because we work in tenths. I went up 2 hash marks on that ammo and the group got larger. I went to 4 hash marks and it shrunk down smaller than the original group. So I called that one good because it was, you know, a sub 1-inch group down there at 300 yards. And I'm not sure how much better you expect to get than, you know, roughly 3/8 or whatever that is. I'm not a math guy. Anyway, then I switched finally to the Hornady. And on the Hornady, again, I shot a group with 0 hash marks on the break, and shot probably just over a 1-inch group. Again, it was probably half minute down at 300 yards. Same thing again, 2 hash marks on the tuner break, group got worse. 4 on the tuner, got worse. 6 on the tuner, it got worse. So I went all the way back down to the 0 and proceeded to then again put roughly a 1-inch to maybe 1.5-inch group down there at 300 yards with the tuner back on the 0 line. So my results are, they're good, but they're also inconclusive, and I just don't have enough ammo. I bought these ammos, these 308 boxes of ammo at today's prices, and I went through 60 rounds today, so you can imagine how much money I spent trying to just figure this out. I was hopeful that I could get it completely done, you know, conclusive kind of evidence, proof to myself, to you guys, that the tuner break does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. Now, that being said, I know it will. It's just science. These things work. Barrel harmonics, when you can tune that in, every tuner that I have seen presented on the market so far has worked very well. So I actually started with a SIG match grade round with this tuner break. You know, on 0 hash marks, and it probably went up to 8 or 10 hash marks before I was able to get that SIG factory ammo dialed in. But once I did, that thing was a 1/4 inch at 100 yards after tuning it. It actually started out shooting something like 3 inches at 100 yards, and as I adjusted that tuner, it shrunk those groups down with that factory ammo. So the brake is solid. It works great. The 4-port muzzle brake works great as far as a muzzle brake. Really tames down this 308, especially in the MDT ACC chassis where I can make it, you know, heavier and just mitigate some of that recoil. The brake works. You need to hear that loud and clear. The brake and the tuner work. But I really think somebody, not me, I'm not spending any more money on it, guys, to be honest, but somebody I feel like needs to do a comprehensive test where you're putting, you know, all the rounds necessary through it, adjusting all the way up on the tuner to fine tune and just find the perfect kind of node with the tuner. And of course you would do that if you were going to run it in competition. Now this is 308. I'm not running it in competition. It's just a great plinking rifle. Anyway, all that to say, guys, I'm a fan of this tuner, this brake. It seemed to work with these ammos and that SIG ammo that I tried before. So you can take it for what it's worth. Hopefully it was entertaining and or somewhat educational at the very least. Thanks for watching, guys, and now that I'm broke from this ammo, head on over to Patreon and sign up there to support the channel. That'd be great. Thanks for watching.